walk in front if you want.
Hello, my name is Calvin Haefley. Welcome to my persuasive speech. Here's a shot of the audience for you. Alright, so if you're like me, you love your furry friend. You take them for walks, you rub their belly, you play fetch with them. You're the type of person that would never willingly contribute to dog abuse. But you might not be aware of some of the horrible conditions that some puppies are brought up under in commercial breeding facilities. You see, commercial breeders value profit much more than the well-being of their dogs, so they keep them in small, filthy cages. Many of the puppies get no socialization or exercise. The mother dogs are typically abandoned or killed as soon as they're no longer seen as profitable by the breeders. One example of this behavior would be a puppy mill that was seized in Texas by Texas law enforcement, in which over 50 dogs were found in inhumane conditions. One dog needed a leg amputated due to neglected broken bones. Another example of this behavior would be a puppy mill in Stewart's Folk, North Carolina, in which over 100 dogs were seized. These dogs, 80% of them had intestinal parasites, 40% of them were underweight, and 35% were dehydrated. A lot of these dogs were also pregnant, and these conditions drastically reduced the outcomes of the puppies. This kind of upbringing has permanent mental health implications for the dogs. Veterinarian David McMillan conducted a study in which he compared the mental health of over 1,000 former puppy mill breeding dogs to that of a healthy dog population. He found that the psychology of the former puppy mill breeding dogs, they were much more likely to suffer from extreme anxieties and phobias. They would have altered mental states. They would stare blankly into space for very long periods of time. And they would have obsessive, compulsive, repetitive behaviors like pacing around a room endlessly. But the heightened anxiety of the puppy mills doesn't just have psychological detriments on the dogs. They also have immune system problems because of this. And that, combined with the fact that they're often kept in small cages together that are very filthy, this makes them very susceptible to pathogens like parvo, pneumonia, stomach, intestinal parasites, and things like that. Furthermore, the puppies are often kept in stacked wire mesh cages, one on top of another, so that the breeders don't have to clean the cages regularly. But that results in the accumulation of fecal matter, which attracts many different species of insects, which often bite and strike the dogs, making them even more susceptible to the infections I mentioned. However, there are ways to counter this kind of thing. One of the best ways would be to rescue a dog. You see, roughly 700,000 dogs are euthanized each year in the United States, but because of the 3 million adoptions that happen annually, that number is drastically decreasing each year. Furthermore, for every dog you adopt, that frees up space, material, and foods in the shelter for another dog, so you're essentially saving 2 dogs with 1 adoption. There are countless other benefits to adoption as well. Adopted dogs are typically already housebroken and done teething. This could save a homeowner hundreds or even thousands of dollars on chewed-up upholstery, electrical wiring, drywall. Teething dogs will typically just devour anything they can massage their sensitive gums on. Take my sister's adorable Great Dane puppy, for example. He chewed up roughly $2,000 worth of materials before he was finished teething. You can see chewed up furniture, upholstery. Oops, wrong button. Anyways, where was I? Benefits of adopting, teething. Oh, right. Speaking of Great Danes, if you're interested in a specific type of dog, there are breed-specific rescue services located all across the United States. One example would be Rotten Rottweiler Rescue in Arizona. They adopt Rottweiler puppies and dogs. However, if you are dead set on purchasing from a breeder, the ASPCA does have guidelines on how you can avoid malpractice in commercial breeding. First, you need to visit their facility and get first-hand evidence that they aren't mistreating their animals. While you're there, you should gauge the temperament of the parent dogs. If the mother and father are overly anxious and not well socialized, that's an indicator that they've been mistreated. Also, if the breeders have a huge selection of many different breeds of dogs, that's also an indicator of commercial breeding. A responsible breeder seeks to become an expert in one specific dog breed so that they can prevent breed-specific disorders and diseases, like hip dysplasia in German Shepherds, for example. A responsible breeder will also ask you a lot of questions in turn. Things like, how much time do you have to commit to the well-being of the animal? What's your experience with dogs like this in the past? What kind of property do you have? If the breeder doesn't ask these kinds of questions, they likely don't care about what happens to the animal after it's sold, so maybe steer clear of those people. Another great way to counter the commercial breeding problem is to boycott commercial pet stores that sell live animals, unless, of course, they're partnered with local animal shelters and they're adopting out rescued pets. You see, supporting commercial breeders with your money creates a financial incentive for them to bring more puppies into their mistreatment. The way to stop that is to inform local pet stores that you won't shop there if they sell live animals that aren't rescues. This creates a monetary motivation for them to start solving the problem rather than contributing to it. So, in summary, commercial breeding practices are typically pretty horrible. They have a lot of effects on the dogs that aren't good, but you can refrain from supporting them if you're aware, if you rescue a dog, or if you carefully vet a breeder if you choose to purchase from them. So be sure to do that, and thank you for listening. Here's one more shot of the audience. Okay.